you don't get a more morally compromised set of circumstances than this. One's career can pick up and carry on.
The ANC and KZN has nominated former Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize for the position of president at the party's conference later this year in December. Joining me to unpack the permutations for the party both in KZN province as well as nationally is Terence Corrigan of the Institute of Race Relations. Terence, could you tell us a little bit about what you think was behind this motivation? Do you think it's a power play nationally? Do you think it's more focused on provincial issues within KZN? I think a few people did think Mkhize would be nominated, but now it's been confirmed.
Look, I think that what we're talking about here is something that speaks to the evolution of the ANC as an organization. If one goes back to 1994, KwaZulu-Natal was sort of an outlier province. It was one of the two that the ANC didn't win outright. It fell into the ANC's fold by being deliberately brought in by an appeal to certain sort of ethnic factors, to personalities that emerged out of the province to some extent through an element of resentment at the dominance of the party by lineages that came from elsewhere, and for a decade it held sway. And it held sway with a very particular ethnic brand. Remember Jacob Zuma's Ascent, 100% Zulu boy. I was always interested, as someone who comes from KwaZulu-Natal myself, at how much criticism was heaped on the IFP for the invocation of Zulu cultural symbols, and to see that almost entirely appropriated by President Zuma and the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal was intriguing, to say the least. Now, Zweli Mkhize, I think he represents, in many ways, a crossover candidate. On the one hand, yes, KwaZulu-Natal, yes, he can appeal to the delegates in that province. He can appeal to certain spoken or unspoken ethnic allegiances, but also, he's a highly educated man. He was certainly until the digital live scandal, he was well respected. In fact, there was talk about him as a future president. I had been told that when speaking to business, he could shake his head ruefully about things like expropriation without compensation. We all know that this is foolish, and basically an all-round charismatic person whose career suffered a major disruption, but a major disruption that I would say in the past, certainly over the past decade, wouldn't really have been career limiting, and it hasn't been career limiting. So I think Ralph Mateka put it very well, that we're talking about isn't factions anymore, but interest groups. I think things like the Zondo Commission or whatever have disrupted this a great deal. So it's not that one faction is opposing another. I think that there are various interests that can coalesce around particular candidates. I think maybe the big takeaway for those of us interested in the macro picture of governance is that it demonstrates that corruption is still not seen as a career-ending factor. That despite these very, very serious allegations and the fact that they happened during COVID, you don't get a more morally compromised set of circumstances than this. One's career can pick up and carry on.
Maybe there's some advice for those involved in career long decisions and moves that they need to make. Maybe they should take those lessons to heart. Terence, just in terms of, again, the December conference and the ANC's position of the president within the party, so this issue of factionalism and different slates and that sort of thing, do you foresee the Mkhize quote-unquote slate mounting any serious challenge to current President Ramaphosa?
No, because I think that and certainly, disclaimer: this is not a prediction. This is an analysis a couple of months out front. I think that the broad mass of the ANC realizes that whatever Ramaphosa's weaknesses, and we at the Institute have pointed these out ad infinitum, and there are many, many to be pointed out. He remains their single biggest electoral draw. He has been able to walk between the raindrops of all the allegations that have been made. There remains I would say a somewhat bizarre belief that he is, as one has put it, the best we've got. And I think that there is a realization that going to 2024, he is probably the party's biggest draw card. Then of course, there's also the sense of what can incumbency offer to those people who are there already. If the Game of Thrones is a game of patronage, there is an inherent advantage on the part of the incumbent. I don't foresee President Ramaphosa being displaced. Not to say it couldn't happen, but at the moment, I would rank his position as being relatively safe.
And then, Terence, just finally a question on former President Jacob Zuma. He this past week indicated that he would be available to serve in the position of national chairperson if he were to be nominated by the branches. Do you think he still retains an influential level of sway within the party, or do you think this is just a sense of trying to have his name still in national conversations?
Look, I think it's a complicated one. I think that he is very much geared towards his own survival as a non-incarcerated citizen, and I think that keeping himself in the Game of Thrones, if I can use that phrase again, is part of that. On the other hand, he's 81. His reputation, I think, even within the ANC, is extremely tarnished. We said let's not talk about factions, but even amongst let's say the RET people, I just don't think he's a credible vehicle for their messaging. I think that what you're seeing there is probably more an appeal to have his name associated with Dr. Dlamini Zuma, who seems to be his kind of champion within the party. But I suspect that this is more a bit of gaudy political theatre than a realistic prospect.
Thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this content. Please remember, before you leave, if you have not yet done so, to like this video and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Look forward to talking to you soon. This has been Chris Hattingh for the Centre for Risk Analysis. Take care.